Hey you guys, it's Terry and this is Prime Life. And so I'm still working on my pitch, y'all, so please bear with me, okay? But what I will say is welcome. I love you guys so much and I hope that you guys decide to stay a part of the family. But you guys, so today we're gonna do a Q&A, but I'm gonna be honest, today is gonna be more of a spiritual Q&A because I am spiritual and I just thought I'd let you guys know that I do follow the Most High, the only one, Jesus Christ, and all of it in one boat, okay? Thought I'd let you know. But today's going to be like a little spiritual Q&A, you guys, just to get a little more feel. I also want to share a couple of my testimonies. I feel like there's some good questions here, so I'm just going to answer them as I go. And I would definitely love for you guys to comment down below. And if you like this video, like. If you feel like I'm it, subscribe. Like... And then another thing, do you guys like my look? It's my new little look. It might be for a while. I love this look, I'm gonna be honest. And I feel like I'm sliding into my prime like so smoothly. Like I feel like I'm adjusting just well. So bear with me, y'all. I will be moving soon, so you guys are gonna be able to witness all of that. So I love y'all. The first question is, do you have a background in religion? If so, what was it like? Or what is it like? Because I am definitely Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe there is only one God. Sorry. I believe that there's only one God and I only serve one God. And that's just how that's going to go. But let me go ahead and pause this music because it is so not going with what I'm talking about. If it was jazz, then I'd probably keep playing it. But, so yeah. Let's go ahead and get to this. Okay. So yeah, it says, so if so, what was it like? I would say because of my experience with I've dibbled and dabbled in all type of religions, so I done been around the block and came right back to Jesus. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys, there's no other, and this is just my opinion and I'm just being honest. There is no connection, and I mean a wholeheartedly, like, when I dibble and dabbled in other things, it was nothing like the experience with the Holy Spirit, the validation that God put in my life of His presence. There was nothing. I mean, still to this day, like I said, like I've experienced all type of things, and nothing compared to the presence of the Lord. That still to this day, I will ride till the wheels fall off. Okay, and I know we're not supposed to debate, but I will debate somebody's shoes off their feet. I'm just being honest. But yes, I definitely believe in Jesus Christ and there's only one God, and that's Yahweh. So the next question is, was there ever a time you believed in God? If so, why did you think it changed? Oh, okay, so I would say at one point, I never ever stopped believing in God. Like my whole entire life, like from young till up, like I never ever was like, He's not real. Now, what I did do was, you know, growing up, we're in a society where everybody's like, you know, everybody jumps on the same bandwagon. Like, you could say, you know, I don't like grape soda, and everybody now doesn't like grape soda. And that's how it kind of was with religion. It was just like, I've always been a spiritual person, not so much of a religious person because I lived my life, but I always had a connection with the Most High, if that makes sense. So I never really cared for religion. Like I never put a title on it. I was just like, I'm spiritual, I believe in God, and that's just what it is. In Jesus' name. You know? Like that's how it was. But what ended up happening was that, like I said, I was like, okay, well, you know, everybody's talking about this new age, and I had started doing new age, and it was crazy because I was so fluent in it really quickly, and I had just like took it in, like this is my baby, I love it. You know, I can help people. I could be people's like spirit guides, you know, like I was all for it. And then I had realized that, you know, which I know there's a question in here that's going to get to that, so I'm not going to pull all of it out right here. But what I will say is that I've never not believed in God. I just always wanted to explore my options before I made a soul like commitment to this, because I didn't want to be wrong. But everything that I tried always led me back to Jesus. So that's just why I'm like, no, it's not for me. You know, that's definitely for the birds. It says, how important is spirituality to your life now? I actually put it at the forefront of my life. I make a lot of mistakes, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, but the crazy thing about it is, God is so present. He is so present, and that's why I continue to cherish him, because throughout my entire life, through all of the decisions that I've made that were poor judgment, he has always been there, and I truly believe that's because of my heart is with him. And he corrects me, and a lot of times I will fall short, and he will still correct me, and I will be put back on the right path, which shows me that the Lord really loves me. Like, I don't care what nobody say. Like, he really loves me, and I love him too. And I know he knows I love him so much that I value his opinion. I value how he views me. And so when I do things, like, I beat myself up a lot because of the fact that I know I can disappoint him a lot. And it hurts me sometimes, to the point that, like, I don't even want to talk to him, because I'd be like, no, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't even want to be seen. Like, I literally be in my house like this, like, oh, Lord, because I don't want to deal with the consequences. But the Lord always speaks to my spirit, and it's like I be a storm, and he quiets me. Like, he quiets the storm, and he just be like, you know, he basically, that's what I love about the Lord so much, is that when he corrects me, it's like he allows me to reflect on my own behaviors, and then he pulls them up so that I can acknowledge what these triggers are, or what these things are that are causing me to be so distant from him, or that is causing me to run from the truth. Is, you know, he really goes deep. Like, he heals. Like, and I know everybody's like, of course he's Jesus, he's God, he heals. Yes, but like, y'all, like, I literally, all of my steps of growing, all of my steps of getting over heartbreaks, trauma, chaos, anger, a lot of that came from him using, like, going within me and allowing the Holy Spirit to bring up these things so that I can see them forefront, so they could be in my face, not so that I can deny them and run from them, but to see the truth in my face, so that I have no choice but to heal from these things. And I love it. I think it's so beautiful. The next word is, if God exists, would it be important for you to get your life right with him? I feel like these questions are kind of like the same, but yeah, like, he does exist. And the thing is, do I want to get my life right with him? Yes, I do, absolutely. I want to get to a point where I don't sin at all. And I know that that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of consistency when it comes to walking with God, because I know how you could be on a straight path with the Lord, and it could become so burdening because of your old self trying to keep you in a place that the Lord has already called you out of. So I know for a fact that, like, I really want to. So the next one is, do you put Jesus in the same category as other religious figures? No. And it says why or why not, because no. The next question is, what do you understand the core of the Christian message to be? In other words, what is your understanding of the gospel? I think I just explained that, but my understanding of the gospel, as far as, like, the purpose, it's for one reason. It's to make, I would say, we all know where we live. We live in a world where it's earthly. Everybody wants the flashy things, the American dream. I really believe that the whole point of God existing is to make the world a better place. And I really do feel like he really loves us, and he loves so hard that, you know, he just wants that love to be carried out from generations to generations, because let's be honest, the number one thing everyone really is chasing behind closed doors is love. And I really do feel like his whole mission is for us to, what he wants us to understand is that if we all came together and we use love, friendships, leadership, whatever it is that will help us be a better nation, be a better unity, and it wasn't so divided and we were all so much of one, the world would be a better place. And I feel like his mission is so heavy on trying to get people to understand that. But since the world has been so overtaken by so much demonic things, and everybody has so many idols in this world, he has to put us in a higher place than this. And so it's sad because a lot of people will be left behind, and that's one of my biggest fears. A lot of people will be left behind because of the fact that nobody wants to just understand the whole point of this existence. And there's so much greed and so much blindness that he has no, he has to make a decision, and his decision is to take us out of here and put us in a better place where we want to be happy, where we want to help each other, where we want to love, where we will have genuine, unconditional love from the Most High, and it will be so pure and so abundant that we will never ever have to worry. We will never ever have to stress. We will never ever have to cry, only if it was for of joy. And I just feel like the Lord is so beautiful that he just wants the world the same way. But that's just not what it is. So that's what I believe the gospel is all about. So the next one that I see here is, can you please tell me about the God you don't believe in? Let me see how I can say this. I don't believe that God just shuns you out forever. I don't believe he'll turn his back on you and just never talk to you again. Like, I don't believe he just turn his face from you and you'll just never hear from him again. And you can make a lot of silly mistakes, and I still don't believe that he will ever turn his face from you. As long as you repent and you turn away from those ways, the Lord will forgive you, and you can walk on that narrow path with him. Let me think. I think that's the only one, because I feel like God is so beautiful that whatever he does, whether it's good or bad, it's for a good cause. And a lot of times we don't realize that. So a lot of people may think that the Lord is mean. And if they call him a jealous God, which he is. He doesn't want no one else to idolize, nothing else but him. And I totally understand, because we wouldn't be here. So why would we not give him credit, And so I think that's the only one. There's a lot of people out here who believe that from all of the mistakes that they made, and they've made very horrible mistakes, but that's written in the book. There's people who, I'm guarantee you'll find in the gospel somebody who done did something way worse than you, and the Lord still used them, okay? All you have to do is repent, turn away from those ways, and walk with God. But to live in sin, you have to understand that's the life you will get. And that's the punishment you will get, the punishment you will face. But to stumble and to get back up and keep walking with God, there's a difference. You don't have to stay there. You do not have to stay there. So, are there anything that attracts you to religion, and are there any things that turn you away? I will say, what attracts me to religion, I'm pretty sure I just said 1,000,000 times. I don't have to explain it. Now, when I was, before I came into my own personal faith and I started my own ministry, I used to go to church, and I didn't like how certain people made you feel like out of place. But I already, like, I've been through that my whole entire life, so I was kind of used to it, so it didn't bother me as much. But I see that it bothered a lot of other people. Like, a lot of people stay out of church because they feel judged, or they felt like they couldn't be themselves. But a lot of times when I went to church, like, every time I went to church, it felt like God was talking to me through the preacher. Like, and then at some weird point in the place, they'd be look, and they stare at me in my eyeballs, and I have to look away, like, oh my goodness, because, like, the Lord is just beautiful. But no, like, that was the only thing. Like, at first I was just like, y'all ain't gotta be like, it was like school. Like, you know how people just be looking at you crazy when you knew, like, who is this? That's how I felt like church was at one point in time. I kind of, like, didn't want to go no more. Like, it was very judgmental people, even though, you know, I was very young at that time. But I'm gonna be honest, like, I've been to church a few times as an adult, but, like, let me stop lying, because I had some nice little churches. Like, I've traveled a lot of places, and every place I went, I found the church, and it was live. Like, I loved it so much that, like, I was there every Sunday with my son. Like, so I'm not gonna make it seem like all churches, but there was a couple of churches in my hometown that I did go to, and I never could, like, sit. Like, I could never stay. Like, they never made me want to come back until I traveled and I met new churches, and I was like, wow, I love this. Like, I could do this all the time. And they, you know, and I was like, I came every Sunday, so, you know. But I just feel like you have to find your place. Like, you have to find your place. And a lot of times people think that they go in one church because their family was raised in there, and they go and do Bible study with one person because that's where their family usually go. No, you have to go where the Lord has called you to go. Because those churches that I went in my hometown, literally none of them made me want to come back. But when I was in South Dakota, I found a church that I will never forget that church. I still got that Bible they gave me to this day. Like, I love that church. Like, I wish I knew. I think it was called New Life. Y'all, if y'all see this, I love y'all to this day. And I was like 19 when I went to that church. Like, I love y'all. And then when I lived in LA, I loved that church too. I love that church because the pastor was so honest. And that's another thing why I love these churches, is that there was no fake. Like, they didn't have no face on. Like, they was themselves. And I loved it. Like, I felt so genuinely, like, connected. And they immediately made me a part of the family. Like, it wasn't no, you know, I had to come a few times for them to make part of it. No, the first day I was already wearing a shirt. Like, hi, yes, I'm Terry. Like, I loved it. So, yeah, let's go to the next, because I will go on and on. But yeah, I just feel like you guys have to find your place. Like, don't give up on God because you feel intimidated by people who actually don't really have no real respect for the Most High and His house of prayer, because that's what it is. It's a house of prayer, and anyone and everyone should be welcome there. Some people won't even baptize you if you're not a part of their, like, if you're not a member of their church. And I just feel like that's not right. So I totally understand. I understand that point, but just don't let that turn you away from God, you know. And this one says, what experiences have most shaped your spiritual life? I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this question because, honey, I got thousands of testimonies. And I'm going to use a couple examples. My first testimony of how God moved in my life. I think I was, in South Dakota. The Lord is, He's so awesome. I was in South Dakota, and I had got myself wrapped up in all of this drama, and I felt bad because I had did some really bad stuff, and I just felt like I couldn't come back from that, so I kind of was like real depressed. But, you know, the Lord ended up providing me with a job and a place to stay. And first testimony is, I couldn't pay my rent, right? And the place wasn't even in my name. Like, I could not pay the rent, right? But I had 2 jobs. But I was so young, I didn't even know how to pay the rent. Like, y'all, when I say that the Lord kept a roof over my house for 5 months, for 5 months with no rent. Like, I didn't pay no rent, nothing. Yeah, it was rocking out, but I stayed with a roof over my head for 5 months. And this is where the testimony comes in. It's because when the Lord is ready to move you, you've been in a place for too long, he gonna make it happen. And if you don't get the memo, like, he's gonna move you himself. And every experience that I'm about to tell you is for this exact reason. I really feel like I'm meant to travel. I'm meant to spread the gospel. I'm meant to show love. I'm meant to have temporary friendships with people, because I'm meant to change people's lives in a short period of time, and then I'm meant to go. And when I was in South Dakota, I met a lot of beautiful people, and I've had a lot of experiences. It was fun. I loved it. But when it was time to go, after that 5th month came, the Lord was like, all right, it's time to go. And I was like, well, I'm making good money here, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to stay, you know? Everything good. I ain't got to pay no rent. Like, what's up? And I was like, no, I'm just going to stay a little longer. Y'all, when I tell y'all 2 days later, 2 days later, they put a eviction notice on the freaking door. I was like, so I was hecka hurt, like, dang. And so I had my little brother at the time, and I had just signed up for like some assistance because I was taking care of him, and I also had 2 jobs, so they still gave me assistance for taking care of him. And he was like young, he was like 17, I was 18 at the time. And so they still gave us assistance, and mind you, it was taking so long for them to give us this money. And I'm like, I'm blowing their phone up every day, like, what is going on? What is going on? Y'all. So they put an eviction notice on the door. They put an eviction notice on the door, so I'm like, okay, we gotta go. I'm telling my brother the ropes, like, we gotta go, bro. We gotta go back to Omaha, because we was in South Dakota. I was like, we gotta go back to Omaha. And y'all, I got paid that weekend, and because we had to be out that Friday. So I had got paid that Friday, and I was like, we packed up everything that we wanted, which was stuff that we could put in bags, because of course we couldn't take nothing else. Excuse me. And so I put my brother on a bus, and I said, I'm gonna be back for you, I promise. And he was like, sis, please, you for real? You ain't gonna just leave me out there? I said, bro, I'm telling you, I'm gonna come for you. Just go. I need you to go first, because I got some things to handle here before I go. And he was like, all right, sis, I love you. And, he got on the bus, and I sent him back to Omaha. Now, I went to a shelter, and I was still working my job so I could make some more checks before I went back to Omaha, because I didn't have nowhere to go Omaha. That's the reason why I was in South Dakota. So my family then wasn't offering me no place. So I was going to be homeless, and I'm like, so I got to make enough money to make sure we get it, before we go. So I worked a couple of times, and literally the day that I had to be out the shelter, my check came. Like, the check that I was supposed to give for my brother. And so I was thinking it was going to be like $300. Now, mind you, I had saved over $1,000 from my checks because I was in a shelter. So I was just saving them, plus all my tips from serving. And I had already saved $1,000. Dude. It wasn't exactly $1,000. Like, it was close to $1,000. Let me not exaggerate. But dude, when the card came, y'all, now that's real. That had over $1,000 on it, because it was 3 months late. So what they were doing was adding the 3 months, and they put it all on the card. So when I called the card, y'all. When I called the card and it had $1,000 and something on it, I was like so shocked, because I was just like, so I was like, I'm leaving. Like, I left that night. Like, I called my friend, and South Dakota's 2 hours away, and he really drove down there to get me 2 hours away. And so I moved up there, and it was like the way he had aligned it, it was just so beautiful. So when I got to Omaha, I had house hopped a little bit, stayed in a couple of hotels, and I was still homeless, but I had enough funds to pay people off until I figured things out, which eventually the Lord told me it was time to go. So I had got to Omaha, gave my brother some money because, of course, I was for taking care of him. So I actually gave him half of the money. So we split it. And I gave him the money, and I was like, you know, he was happy because he was like, you really came? I'm like, yeah, bro, I really came. And but the Lord has spoke to me again. And the way he did it was, I had my mind set. I started setting up things. I started doing job applications. I was like, I'm about to be back in my hometown. I'm just going to figure it out and, you know, move on. Nah, bro. That's not what the Lord had in mind. So my sister's friend came up to me and was like, hey, you want to go to Texas? And I was like, why would I go to Texas? Like, no. I was like, why? What's in Texas? But I was so adventurous that I was like intrigued, like, maybe I can go to Texas. And so I was like, darn, should I go to Texas? And then I was like, just come back and ask me later, because I'm not sure, because I was dating somebody too, like, that fast. Like, I was dating somebody that fast. And so she came back like an hour later, and she already had her suitcase, everything ready. She said, girl, I'm about to get on the road. Are you coming or not? And I was just like, I looked at him, I looked at her, and I was like, I'm going. And so, I get in the car with her. I had $10 in my pocket with a suitcase. Literally, $10 in my pocket with a suitcase. And she had told me that we were going to be staying somewhere, and she had a place down there and all of this stuff. And when we got down there, you know, I had anxiety attacks. I'm like, I'm really leaving. Like, I've been far, but not this far. We're going to Texas from Omaha. So I was so scared. And I was crying. I was emotional. But the more and more I got down there, I got a little excited. Like, this is something new. Like, my life is about to change. Like, you know, because I was so young and I was beautiful. So I just had this imagine, like, I'm about to blow up out here. Like, and so I get down there, and we were sleeping in the car the first night, I believe. Yeah, we had to sleep in the car because we had nowhere to go. So we was actually sleeping in the car, and then she called around and called a lot of her family members, and eventually they let us stay. And I felt so ambushed. But let me just hop to the testimony part, because it's gonna be forever. Y'all gonna be hearing too much tea. But I ended up getting into some more trouble because I ended up linking up with a guy that I had met down there, and I almost lost my life dealing with that man. And that was another way that God, like, saved me, because I almost lost my life dealing with that man. And I had told the girl, because I was in Arlington, Texas, and they didn't have public transportation. Mind you, I went down there with nothing, so I'm gonna need public transportation. Everything was walking, like, you had to walk everywhere, and it was just like for interviews, whatever. Like, there was no, and I didn't have a car. So I'm like, I need, like, in Arlington, you have to have a car. Like, I don't know if it's changed and they got buses now, but you had to have a car, like, literally. So I'm like, you know, I'm trying to figure things out. And she ended up getting a job not too long ago because she actually did have a car. And so she had time to get to interviews, which was all the way in Dallas, though. And so when I had Googled some things, I had found out that Dallas has public transportation. And so I kept telling myself I need to be with her because this is who I came down here with. But I could feel the Lord pulling at me like, no, you need to go on your own. And I'm like, you know, everybody was welcoming. They were really nice, but I just felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. And so the events took place with him where I had to get the police involved. And I had to go to a domestic violence shelter. Now, which was great about that is that they were in Galveston, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it, but so I went to the domestic violence shelter. I got to the domestic violence shelter. I was only in there for 2 weeks, and the women who were there were already in there for almost a month. And so how fast I got in there and got out, it was crazy. Like, I got in there, they found a program for me for youth because I was so young. And the program literally accepted me the first day, which was great. And when I got there, you guys, it was so beautiful because I thought it was going to be like another group home. No, they gave us all our own apartments. our own laundry carts with money on them. Like, it was so nice, and it was beautiful because it was a full 3-bedroom apartment. Of course, I had roommates, but it was so like legit. So when I got there, I was just blown away, like, wow, because my whole point of this is that everywhere I've went, the Lord has provided some sort of stability. Like no matter what I'm going through, where I've been, everywhere I went, the Lord has provided stability for me. And so that's how I be knowing. Like, if I go to a place and I can't get comfortable, then I know I'm not supposed to be there. But if I go to a place and I feel a little on edge, but I feel like it's where I'm supposed to be, that means that I'm where I'm supposed to be, but I'm probably not in the exact place. That's why with Arlington, I was like, I can't be here. There's too much restriction. So when I went to and I had heard about Dallas and I wanted to move to Dallas, but I'm like, I don't have the funds to get there. I don't have nobody I know there. And the fact that that place that they accepted me in was in the heart of Dallas tripped me out. Like, God put me where I needed to be. So I was supposed to be in Dallas the whole time. So when I got approved and they put me in Dallas, I was just blown away. Like, wow, I wanted to be here. Look where I'm at. I'm here. And so that thing went off. It went beautiful. I ended up meeting another guy. Y'all see the pattern here? I ended up meeting another guy who I ended up actually marrying later on, and I have kids now. So but I mean, that fell apart, of course, but that's a whole different story in its own. But the same thing happened with him, and this was actually recently. Me and him, we went through a lot of things, a lot of traumatic things, and I had moved to LA, and the Lord did the same thing. But this last time, the Lord was so bold this last time that I just cannot explain the miracle. Like, the other times that happened, you know, it was like, wow, you know, the Lord strengthened my faith. But this time, when he made me move this time into this house, it was so bold that I knew, like, he ain't nobody to play with. And so this last time, I'm going to share this last testimony because I think this is the last question anyway. This last time, me and my husband, we separated. And I went through a lot of emotions. Like, I was so depressed to the point that, like, I was crying, like, every day. And I'm being vulnerable and I'm being honest. I was crying so much, like, and it'd be random times. Like, I'll just be watching a movie and just break down, like, why are you crying? But I was so hurt by this short live of our marriage that it was just horrible. Like, it hurt me. And he had moved on quickly. So I had, you know, that really hurt me. Like, wow, like, dang, homie, okay, that's how you doing it. No, I'm just playing, but I was real life heartbroken. And so I went through a really tough time. So after he left, I had lost my job. I had lost my car. I was behind on my bills, like behind on my bills. And everything that I would apply for, they'd be like, nope, you get denied. And I was like, dude, why am I getting, like, why is this happening to me? And so I could not understand. I'm like, this is horrible. And so, it was horrible. And so, yeah, so the only thing that they gave me was, they wouldn't give me no type of assistance, but they did give me stamps. And so I was relieved that, okay, I could feed my kids, but I was still worried about, like, my light bills, my rent. I was worried about all of that. And so, y'all, so right after that, so that was like the whole, because we separated in January. So February was the worst month ever. Like, my birthday, everything, like, it was worse from the top to the bottom. So I just felt like this was my punishment because, you know, I still have to take accountability for my parts that I played. And so I just felt like I was being punished. But y'all, March rolled around. March started looking a little better, you know. I can't remember what happened. March, I had filed for unemployment. Yeah, and so I was just waiting for unemployment, and then it finally came through in March. March, they started giving me like $200 and something, and then Corona hit. Corona hit, y'all. So when Corona hit, they was like giving everybody bonuses for unemployment. So I was like, so my thing went from $200 something. No, actually, I think it was 3 something. I'm not sure. I can't remember because yeah, it was 3 something. No. Yeah, it was 2 something because they added a $600 bonus. They added a $600 bonus. So y'all, I went from getting $200 something a week to $800 something a week, y'all. Literally from my living room. Like, I'm being honest, like. And so I went from struggling so hard to more than good, to the point that I couldn't spend all that money like that. So I just started sitting on it. When I tell y'all, that was the first time I ever seen me save that much money. But I knew, because one thing about me is that I have an issue with spending. But I knew when the Lord was serious, when I was shocked that I was saving dollars. And I was so excited because I had never made that type of money. And so I was like, dude, I'm making $800 some a week, you know, and I'm just sitting on it. Like, I'm spending $100 here and there. I'm not spending no money. And so I had laid in bed one time, and I just remember like telling myself, I said, I'm about to move. And I was like, I'm gonna move in June. I'm gonna move in June. And I was telling my family and everybody, I said, y'all want anything in this house? Because I'm about to move. And they're like, when you about to move? I said, I'm just about to break my lease and move in June because, you know, why not? I got the money. I'm about to go. And they was like, well, all right, you know. So I started giving stuff away. Then, I think it was like early May. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna buy my kids a new bed set, buy me a new bed set. Basically, I'm about to deck my house out, you know, get a new car, and I'm just about to stay here until my lease is up. When I tell y'all I started doing that, I started buying beds. First, I bought the beds and stuff for my sons. I had bought the new beds. I had bought a TV. I had decked their little room out. And then I'm like, okay, let me start on mine. So I had bought some new curtains, bed sets, and rugs and stuff in my room. Then the last thing least, you know, I had hooked up the bathroom. Like, I was decking the house out. Then I got to the living room, and y'all, the day I got my couch, and this is mid-May now. The day I got my couch, I'm having to move the couch in. We moving the couch in, right? Y'all, God is amazing. He is like, I got my couch and I sat my couch down, right? And I was telling my brothers and them, and I was like, thank you so much for helping me, right? And my maintenance man came in, and he knocked on the door, and he was like, here's a newsletter. Everybody has to be out in June. Yeah. Yeah. I was worried about breaking my lease. And so I was like, I'm going to stay. But I had already said I was going to leave in June. And when I had said that I was settling and I was going to stay, y'all, the Lord said, I said, no. I said, it's time to go. And I know that the Lord had in mind for me to move across state. And that's where I will say I did rebel against God, because I stayed in my hometown. And I got a house, which is way more better than what I was at. And it's a beautiful house. It is gorgeous. It's the best house that I've ever lived in, okay? And so, you know, but when he told me June, and I said I was going to stay, and that man made us move out in June. I mean, they shut the whole apartment complex down, gave everybody some money vouchers, and basically told us to figure it out. And I was so lucky because a lot of people ended up being homeless. I was so lucky because I still had a lot of money in my savings account. But the fact is that it blew me away. it blew me away. Like, I feel like what the Lord was doing was preparing me. He was preparing me for what was to come. And so when I said I'm just going to move in June, and the fact that the Lord moved me in June blows me away. Like, that was so bold. Like, I knew that was God. And so, yeah, here I am now in this house, and the same thing is happening all over again. I'm getting ready to move. But this time I got to obey the Lord, and I got to go, and it's not going to be here. So, you know, I love every moment of this connection. I love all of it. I could go on for days about a testimony after a testimony, because one thing I will say is that God has showed up. And for the people who don't believe, I love y'all still. But I believe, because there was times where, like I said, that I knew that couldn't be nobody else. Nobody else. People could say, well, it's manifestation. Yeah, through the body of Christ, because that was the only manifestation that I was getting. Let me tell you something. I would talk to God, and it was crazy because certain things that would happen, like I just say something in my head, and I'd be like, you know, just talking to God, and like when he delivers, like right on cue, I just look like, that's crazy. It's amazing to me. I think his relationship is everything. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little spiritual Q&A. Just know that I love you guys so much, and I hope that you guys decide to be a part of the family. Of course, join the family. Why would you not want to be a part of these high cheekbones? Like, why? I'm just playing. Like, they're literally bubbles, like bubble cheeks. Shout out to the bubble cheek girls and men, because I know y'all out there too. But I love you guys so much. Thank you for being a part of Prime Life. Please follow up. Stay tuned, you guys. Subscribe. Like, comment. Love you guys. Peace.